Testing 1 2 3. Hello, hello. Testing 1 2 3. Just pull this up real quick. My channel. Live. Testing. My channel. Testing. Testing. Live. Testing. Testing. Also, everybody can hear me. Testing. Testing. Why is this outputting? Testing. Testing. Also, everybody can hear me. Testing. Why is this outputting? Testing. Testing. Also, everybody can. Hello. Got one view so far. Just getting set up here, getting stuff started. All right. Did I have, let's see. Alrighty. Okay, I'm gonna get started on this. Let's see here. All right, so I've got some info on my iPad here, so I can reference that. Don't forget anything. Let's rotate that. All right. Okay, so last week we finished off. We got this working. It's depending on DB, and then what we worked on mostly last week was getting this get session dependency working. Over in the sessions package, the sessions module, and it's just creating a random token, and then that get session creates the token for an OAuth login. And it checks for expiration times and all that. So like this is encode, like just as a refresher, this is encoding the current timestamp into a byte array. Like just for fun. Let's pull that out. While we're waiting for people to join here, we can play around. We can just put that right there. From random import ren bytes from B64 import B64 encode. And then, and we got to do from time import time. And then we can do print like that. And then we can run this file. And you see right there, it just creates this gibberish. But encoded in that gibberish, the first 4 bytes is the time. It's 4 bytes. That's what this 4 over here means, is we're telling it to convert that time int into a 4-byte object using big endian in formatting. So that's going to put the least important bits, like the lowest place value bits. It's going to put them on the right, and the highest place value bits are going to go on the left. And like you can see that if we were to do something like, I'm trying to think of a good number here. Let's just do it this way. This will be the easiest way. So we know we have, we're going to have like 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 8 bits there. And then we were to do, let's do 2 bytes. We're going to put this in a list like this. This way we can get the numbers from the bytes. We're going to do 1, or let's do 4. And then we'll do big. And we're going to do that. So like you see, like the 128 goes right here. Because that's what this is here. If we were to copy this and just like paste that 4 times, they all become 128. So yeah, you can see how like that happens. And then if I were to do something like, let's do 1. I'm gonna put a 1 there. So we're basically gonna count this up. And then 1. So like if we do that again now, you see we have 129, 130, 131, 132. So then if I change this out to small or little endian, it's gonna be little endian, it flips them. So it's just changing the priority of the bytes. And like you see this one, the smallest, and on the end of the, I think you can do this. Let's see if we can do this. Just to split up our bytes. Let me make sure that works. Yeah, it works. So you can put the underscore inside a number, and Python will just ignore it. So you can separate out place values. I'm using it to separate out bytes here. And you can see like the lowest place values. So like your 1's place, your 2's place, your 4's place, and your binary number are over there. But like this should be the largest number because it's 128 plus 4, so that's 132. And you see that's over here. So like I've got the endianness, it's using little endian. So it puts the lowest place value byte first. It's still the same order of bits. It's just the ordering of the bytes. And that's all that this endianness changes. And like different networking protocols, different operating systems specify their own endianness. And it's either going to be big or little. So your little byte might go first for little endian, and then your big byte will go first in your big endian. No, you're not late. I'm just goofing off, waiting for people to join. Yeah, you're fine. Let me know if like the text is too small, and I'm trying out something to see if the latency is better this time. So let me know what the quality is like. Next week, we'll adapt accordingly. I think I have to restart the stream if I want to change that latency setting. But yeah, so like just quick refresher on endianness. Endianness of bytes, how they're encoded. And like I said, big endian is going to put the highest place value byte first, and little endian is going to put the lowest place value byte first. Yeah, I was distracted. I was writing my own code for my own project I was working on, and I'm like, oh no, I've got 15 minutes. So I did get the monitoring working again this week. So let me know if that screws up with any audio. I'll review the audio afterwards. But let me know if anything goes weird. If anything's going weird midstream with the audio, and I know, I can adjust things. I can change things. It should be fine. We'll find out. But yeah, so like I was reviewing how we're generating our token right there, that gibberish, and how I'm encoding the time in there. Oh, that's good. Good. Everything's nice and good. We'll see. Like, if you send a message when you hear this, let's see what the latency is like. All right. So I think we're good here. We've played around a little bit. So what we got to work on next? We've got this. This is working. All right, and then that we don't need. Let's go back to here. All right. So this is what we got last week. We got it working with the get session. All right. All right. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Let's see what we get there. Just curious what the latency is like. This should be, according to YouTube, the lowest latency. So we'll see how that goes. It took about 15-20 seconds. So it's still a little bit of latency, but it's not bad. Definitely easier to hold a conversation when you're not talking with Mars. So hopefully we can get that under control. All right. But yeah, this was the setting that they said would be the lowest quality, but the least latency. So we'll see how that works out. All right. Okay, so what do we got to get working here first? I think we need to have a way to create a user, right? This is submitting the user. Yeah, right there. We've got the user, get by, create token, session, create. Is it logging the user in? Is it actually creating a user? I don't think it's actually creating a user. So we're probably going to want to do that. We need to make sure, right? What does that user model look like? Oh, okay, right here. User's ID, name, password. So yeah, it is creating a user. Where is it creating the user? It's creating the user right up here. User create, right there. Completely overlooked that. So yeah, we are creating the user, so that's working. All right. Okay, so we've got to now create. What do we got to do next? We've got it creating a user. We should probably get it possible to, let's do add a file. I'm gonna create the upload file. And how that's gonna work is it's just gonna send some data. And I'm trying to think, because FastAPI doesn't like forms. So we've got to figure out how we want to do file uploads. FastAPI. Let's move this over to the side of the screen. We just got to figure out how FastAPI does file uploads. Right here. Tutorial user guide. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I've seen, is this it here? File and form. File size token, file content type. This is returning a file. Right? No, it's returning details about a file. It's saying create file. Aha. Look right here. This looks like what we're looking for. So how does this work? file and form fields at the same time using file and form. All right. So we're going to be using our current existing authentication. So that's going to be in the header. And so create file and form parameters the same way you would for body or query. So we've got to import file. What is this upload file? File bytes file. File upload equals file. What is the difference here? What is, do we need both of these? What are they? Files and form fields will be uploaded as form data, and you will receive the files and form fields. And you can declare some of the files as bytes and some as upload files. Okay, so bytes and file upload are different, but how? You can declare multiple file and form parameters in a path operation, but you can't also declare body fields that you expect to receive as JSON, as the request will have the body encoded using multi-part form data. All right, and like the reason why we don't want to use application JSON or over multi-part form data is because of that multi-part. The multi-part just means like we can get multiple parts. Like, so when you're uploading a file, you want to be able to stream it up in parts. It's going to try to send this application on JSON in as few packets as possible, which may not be optimal. This right here will try to make it more optimal for an upload. And that's just because it's designed to handle more complex data than just a text file. So it looks like how we handle this, it doesn't really matter between the two. I'm just trying to figure out what's the difference with this upload file. Is there some reason I might want to use that? And we've already got this Python multi-part installed. Again, it's a little odd. Oh, it does? Oh, I didn't realize there was, I skipped right over that. I didn't even see that. Import file. Define file parameters. File is a class that inherits directly from form. Form file, declare file. With upload file, define a file parameter with a type of upload file. Using upload file has several advantages over bytes. You don't have to use file in the default value of the parameter. It uses a spooled file. Okay, so it's got some advantages. How exactly do we use it though? Like I've seen like you just use it as an annotation. But does it give me any extra control? Because like he's talking about up to a maximum size limit. One thing I would like to do is block file uploads above a certain size. Just for safety reasons. Like you don't want to get your server like getting a bunch of large file uploads that are super huge, taking up all your memory. With additional metadata. Okay, this is just for the API, like the docs portion of the API. multiple file uploads. I'm not too concerned about this. I'm just scanning through this file to see if I see anything I'm interested in. That is neat that he supports uploading a list of upload files. That is handy. That is very handy. All right. So just seeing real quick. Tutorial user guide. Features FastAPI. All right. So let's go ahead and get that working. Let's see if we can't get that working. I'm trying to remember. Okay, because this has already got the API part working. I'll have to figure out how to use HTTPX to test this now. So let's just real quick get that working. Upload. That's going to take. We'll do session because it's got to depend on that. We need to keep the connection because we need to work with the database. And then we're going to do file. We got to import upload file. Do we need to import? We've already got FastAPI, so I think that's how I've been doing that. Where'd it go? FastAPI.upload file. Don't have to set anything special. That's what he said anyway. All right, and then I'm gonna do file name, ring, none. So like that can default to none. Did I have this on 310? I do not. We need to make sure we have union. Wrong thing. There we go. From typing, import union. Union. So it's option. Well, actually, you know, I wouldn't use union here. I would use optional. In 310, you use the union just because it makes things super consistent. But in everything before 310, you just use optional for anything that could optionally be none. So that's what we'll do here. All right. So now we have that. So file name, we'll do name equals file name. Or, so file name is none. We do file.file name, right like that. So now we've got a file name. Now we know what the name of the file is. All right. I'm not sure what we're returning just yet. Now, how did we set up this database? We have files and folders. And then I think the files, the way we were doing that is if the folder ID is -1. Yeah, there we go. If the folder ID is -1, it returns none. So if it's going to be in the root, we're going to set the folder ID to -1. Okay. So actually this right here depends, because I don't think we need the session ID here. We will need the database ID. I don't think we need the session ID. So I'm going to move that to there. So it's going to depend on the get session. So it's going to require the authentication, but it's not going to pass in a parameter to the function. That is handy. All right. So next, what we need to do is we need to get, where is it? Okay, here we go. Files. We're going to move that up there. Get these in the right order. File. So we're going to import file from files. And then we can do await file.create. The path is going to be empty because it's going to go in our root. file name is going to be name. Uploaded. Is that not set to default? Let's just find out. Files uploaded integer, not none. So we've got to get that ourselves. I've already got time, so there we go, right like that. And then what else do we get for create? Path, file name, uploaded, owner ID. So we did need the session. Whoops. Boom. Not a problem. We can fix that. Session equals get session. Now, how are we structuring that session? Jump into there. Session loads data. Guess we have to look at how it logs them in. All right, so when they log in, we create a token, we create a session, and we give it JSON, we dump in user ID. Right like that. And then, so that means we can do this get session returns. Okay, so it just returns that dictionary. So the user ID is going to be session user ID, right like that. And then what's the next parameter to create? So we've got our user ID. We need to give it the folder ID, and that's going to be -1. So we're going to put it in the root. At some point, we'll probably add a parameter for that. Actually, let's do that now. We'll do folder ID int equals -1. So then we can, we already have all that set up. And we can just do that, right like that. So now we can upload files to a folder that already exists. Next up, so we've got the folder ID. We got to give it the connection to the DB, right like that. This is getting kind of long, so let's got to get the formatting correct on this. It's giving one too many tabs here. I'm not a fan of it. Right here, like it's giving these one too many. It should be right like that. There we go. Okay, so now we've got all of that working. Why is, oh, I see. Well, I know why this is freaking out. This is supposed to be an int, right like that. There we go. File create. Now, file create doesn't return anything, but we need it to return. What do we need it to return? Return cursor equals, then we need to do cls.get file ID cursor dot last, oh goodness, cursor, what was the name of that parameter? Last row ID. There we go. That's what we wanted. Just being able to jump right into the code is super handy. Just like, on my Mac, I can command down arrow and it jumps right into the function or whatever it is. Like, I can jump to the definition of this variable. I can jump into the definition of that. Like, that's all I did right there. It's just command down, command down, command down, all the way through to where I needed to be. So then I can see what properties are on those objects. So now this should be our file. We'll call that F, right like that. Feel like we're missing something here. Because we don't have any content in this file. I guess that'll be fine for now. I don't know how I overlooked that. So I've got the path, I've got the file name, I've got the uploaded time, owner ID, folder ID, and I don't think I have a model for anything else. Yeah, no, I don't. What an oversight. So I guess we can't actually upload any content into our files. So we can just upload the file names. That's all we can do right now. But that's fine. We'll work with that for now. All right. Okay. So the path. Like, I'm a little bit confused why it has a path. Oh, that's the path on disk. You're right. That's what I was thinking of doing. And that's what this is. And this is what I keep forgetting every time. So I'm going to put a comment in here. Path to the file on disk. Right like that. So we're going to give it some random name and we're going to put it there. All right. So that makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. Let's do this. File dot. Does it have a way for me to write it to disk? No, it doesn't look so. It's a file like object, so it has read, it has seek, it has write, it has close. So because it's a file like object, but it's not an actual file. So I have to create the actual file. And how do we want to do that? I think, where do we have that? Let's use the actual. We can actually use a similar system to what we used for the tokens. So if I come back over here and I go, what am I looking for right here? Let's jump in here. Let's take this. We're going to grab this. We're going to delete that. And then we're going to go back over here. We're going to go back to the file. We're going to do at class method, async def, save to disk. All right. And then we're going to have file. Let's just import from FastAPI import file as F. File, right like that. We'll do that. File. So this way we get the annotations. And this is going to return a string. And that string will be the path on disk. So then, trying to think here. We're going to have to import pathlib. From pathlib, import path. Well, if I could spell import correctly. Path, there we go. So then we're going to do save to disk. Folder equals pathlib, or the path. We're going to do under file dot parent because right now we're inside. So parent gets me the models folder, and then parent gets me the database folder, and then dot parent gets me the server folder. Then we're going to do dot parent because we're right now here. So then parent brings me to here. And then I'm going to do slash files, user files, right like that. Okay. If not, folder dot exists. Can I do folder dot how do we make a directory? Open, expand. It's gotta be a way to create a folder. Make dirt. There we go. All right, so then we're just going to call that Or that should be fine. But I think it doesn't take any other parameters, right? Yeah, it just takes the mode. All right, cool. So that should, in theory, create our folder. And then we can do file path equals folder slash cls dot generate file token. Now we're actually going to want to do something right here because I want to guarantee uniqueness per user. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the user ID, so that's going to be an int, right? And then we're going to pass that into the generate file token. And then we're going to do at class method generate file token. And we're going to do from time import time. And then we're going to do from random import random bytes. Well, you know what? We're going to do something different. We're going to do something like the way the Discord Snowflake IDs work is they just increment a counter. So we're going to create a global counter. Upload counter equals 0. Okay. So this is going to be how we're going to get our randomness. We're not even going to use a random number to do this. We're just going to encode a bunch of information like the current timestamp, the user ID, and then the counter. And that will give us enough randomness, should give us enough randomness. Actually, is there a way? Python get current process ID. All right. So we're going to need to import OS. Import OS. All right. So what we're going to do is for the process, we're going to get the process ID. And we're going to encode that. And we're going to encode a timestamp. And we're going to encode a counter. Actually, do we even need the timestamp? We don't even need a timestamp, do we? The reason why we need a timestamp. And here's why we need a timestamp. Because if we just did the process ID, and then the user ID, and then the upload counter, if a process ever got the same process ID in the future, it is possible that the same user could get an upload at the exact same upload counter, and then you have a collision. So what we need to do is we need to use the time to ensure throughout time our file name is unique. And then we need one more thing from base64 import, because this is how we make things nice and clean. That's how we convert random gibberish into this nice, neat letters and numbers and like hyphens and like file name save characters. So we're using B64 encode to do that. So that's just going to take some bytes and convert it into those nice, neat characters. All right, so from time import, so from OS. So this is going to be really unique, and it's going to not require anything random. So we get our byte array. B equals byte array. And then we're going to do B 4 like that equals int time. And I'm putting this first. This way, if we ever sorted by our files, they would be organized through time because that's going to move left to right. So if our first 4 bytes are the time, we will get that nice, neat sorting. And then we're going to do big endian. All right. So then the first 4 bytes are our time. And then we're going to get the process ID. And we're going to do another 4 bytes. So from 4 to 8 is going to be int os.get PID. So that's our process ID. So if we have multiple of the server running, they will all likely have their own random ID. Like if you have it running on multiple machines, they might have the same ID. Likelihood is they won't. But if you had multiple instances of the server running, and they would have different PIDs, they'll all have their own like PID namespace inside these file IDs, which ensures that there's no collision. So like if two copies of the server are running and the same user uploaded two files, one to each of the server instances, the file names, even though they came up at the exact same time, even if both of the server instances had just started, so their file counter was 0, the PID is going to be different. Hey, how's it going, GX? How are you doing? So like this PID will ensure that those two instances never generate the same ID. All right, and then so we do .2 bytes, and that's going to be 4, and that's going to be big endian as well. And then, so we have the time, we have the process ID, and then did we need to include anything else? It's just the counter, I believe. So then the B8, and we're going to go like that. And we're going to go to 12 equals int, or we don't even have to do int. Upload counter dot 2 bytes. That's going to be 4. That's going to be big. And we're going to do upload counter plus equals 1. All right. Global upload counter, right like that. So it is a global, which isn't super cool, but because we're trying to make this process level, it being global isn't such a big deal. And we don't actually care if things the counter restarts, because since we're moving through time and our token is going to change through time, if the counter gets reset to 0 in the future and we generate another token with a counter that is 0, the time is going to be different. It will always be different. So unless we're getting the exact same process ID, all within the same second, and resetting that counter to 0, you're never going to get a collision. So this should be what I think. We need the user ID. We want the user ID. User ID, and that's going to be an int. So that was the last thing we're going to put in here. And that's going to be from 12 to 16. And upload counter dot 2 bytes for and big endian. All right, I like that. And return B64 encode the byte array, or yeah, B, right like that. There we go. So that'll make it nice and neat. And let's just take this and we'll pull it up into our Scratch file so we can see what it looks like. Right like that. And we have to import OS. Import OS. Getting rid of that because we're not using anything random. And then we're going to just print this out. And our upload counter equals 0. And B equals byte array. Like that. And then if we run that, we get this nice, neat little bytes. And decode just so it's pretty. There we go. Now we're not quite filling it out all the way. And that bugs me a little bit. If we were to do that, would fill it out all the way. And you see it's a lot of A's there. That's just because a lot of this is empty, just because the counter is not very large. Like it's a 1, it's a lot of zeros. So like if we were to make this a lot larger and we were to like really fill her out, let me copy that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. How many do we need? I need 16, 13, 14, 15, 16. Didn't need to put it there. Get rid of that line actually. Too big to convert. Get rid of. Wrong thing. There we go. Too big to convert. How did I get it too big to convert? What did I do wrong? All right, that's 1 byte. That's 2 bytes, 3 bytes, 4 bytes. Oh, I needed 8. 111. We can do 12 because it's 6. Then we got a big number. It says it's too big to convert. Why is it saying too big to convert? Still too big to convert. Oh, that's just supposed to be user ID. Oh, that's why, because I put, all right, never mind. I am not thinking. Let's just shrink this down until it fits. It's gotta be right around here, right? All right, and then 2 bytes for big. Get rid of that for now. Got a bunch of slashes at the end there. And that's, ooh, that's actually a problem because that won't work in the file name. So what do we have to do to make that work? Import B64 base64 dot B32 encode maybe. URL safe. That's what I think we need to use. So if we do from base64 import URL safe B64 URL safe, and now it's underscores. That makes it a lot better. That works a lot better. So finding bugs as we go here. All right. And so like if we made this a bunch of gibberish, it wouldn't be a bunch of underscores down there. So that won't actually happen that often. All right. So now that we found that bug and we addressed that bug, I've also got another bug right here. We're going to replace this with the user ID. User ID, right like that. The counter gets added 1. Then we return it, and we got to do URL safe. So we need to come up here, right there. There we go. Jump down here. Boom. There we go. All right, there. Now we've got that set up. We can make a nice safe file name from this file token. And it should be unique because we're using the time, then the process ID, and then we're using the upload counter and the user's ID. Nice and neat. Pretty cool. All right. Trying to make sure I'm doing that right. All right, generate token. Oh, it's returning bytes, and I want it to return a string. So we got to decode. String, right, like that. There we go. So this stopped complaining here. And we don't even have to have a file extension on these. We just want them to upload. That's literally all we need. And then we do with file path dot open mode RB. We're going to do as binary as F. And then we're going to do f.write file.read dot, I don't know what that returns. Is this await? Do we have to await that? I think we have to await that. Can we jump into here and can we check what that's doing? Oh, it's returning a file right like this. And this is inheriting from form. Weird. trying to figure out how on earth we work with this file. Do we need... What does this have for us? Is this something smarter? Upload file. File dot. Well, this gives us like content type. It gives us the headers. We might actually want to, in the future, store that content type inside the database. All right, so we can do file write data close reads. We just got to do read. I'm going to do -1 so that it grabs all of it. And that's going to get written into F. And is that, yeah, that's an async function and it returns bytes. Awesome. So that works perfect. It's returning bytes. We're reading, we're supposed to be writing, not reading. We're supposed to be writing bytes. So our WB, then the file.read, which is what's been uploaded, is going to be reading bytes. So we can write those, no problem. We can get rid of this because we're not using that. We're using upload file. So now that is going to upload it into a folder here at the root of our project. And that folder is going to be called user files. It shouldn't be. Like, we could do it all. Like, I'm not going to worry about it for this. It should handle it all right. I'm not 100% sure how he's handling it. But my thought would be it would work fine. I mean, we could do this. While data equals file.read. And then we could do like 2048, like grab a bunch. And then we do f.write data. So while data is coming out of the file, it'll write the data. So that's how you do it. It's like a whole nother line. It's not complicated. It's pretty straightforward. So yeah, we can do that. Not a problem. Probably a better way to do it for sure. And then this is going to return string file path, right like that. Does that have a way to convert that to a string, or is that just always like that? Like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have a way to get a string. Just checking real quick. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. So that gets to the path. So that'll save. We can give that a file that's uploaded along with the user ID. It'll create the folder if it doesn't exist. And then it will generate a random token. It's very much not random. It's based on the process ID. It's based on the timestamp. It's based on the user ID. And it's based on an upload counter, just like a global upload counter for the process. All designed to just make everything unique through time. So it's not actually random. It's just giving us uniqueness through time. And it's going to write all of the data from the uploaded file into the file that we just created. And then we're going to return the path. So this way we know where we put it. So then we can take this function and right over here, upload f.create. We're going to upload it. Path equals file dot save to disk file. And we have to give it the user ID session user ID, right, like that. And then we do, so now we have the path. So now we can set the path here. Why is that complaining? It's returning a string, it's returning a string. Oh, that's why. We gotta await, right, like that. There we go. So we await that, it'll save the file to the disk. And then we get back the file object, the file model from the database. Model, so we'll just call that model so we know exactly what it is. And then we're going to return the file ID, model.id, right, like that. Is there anything else we probably want to return to the user? I don't think so. They just uploaded their file. They know the name of it. They know what folder they uploaded it to. So they just need to know the ID of the file. So this way they can update their UI with the necessary stuff. All right. I think we're pretty much set there. So now, let's see if we can't figure out how to use HTTPX to upload a file. Upload file. Quick start. All right, here we go. Oh, that's pretty simple, isn't it? So then we got to figure out how to do the headers and all that. But I think, do I have a scratch file for that? I don't think I do. I think I got rid of it. Did I have another scratch file? Not really. Your database is going to be your slowest part. File uploads are going to be pretty slow. I mean, quite slow. The only reason you might want to use something like C for something like this is for massive concurrency. So like if you've got millions of users connecting, you might want to switch to like Go. That's going to be probably your simplest solution. It's going to be your fastest solution. But at the same time, it's only about an order of magnitude faster than a Python server would be. So at that point, the engineering cost to switch to Go might not be worth it. If you've got people who already know how to write Python, it's probably cheaper to just use an order of magnitude more servers. Because if you're paying your engineers, if you have to hire an engineer for $150,000 a year, that's a heck of a lot cheaper to just buy 10 more servers a year. Because like a server is going to cost you $50. So 10 of them is like $500. And then you figure over 12 months, that's $6,000. That's a lot cheaper than an engineer for $150,000. Like even if you got like an entry-level engineer for like $75,000, it's going to take you 10 years to get that order of magnitude cost difference. So if you have the people who already know the Python, you're going to just do the Python because monetarily you can just horizontally scale for a fraction of the cost of hiring someone new. And Python is efficient enough to do this and handle it for you. If you're going to do COBOL, you're not doing anything on the internet. As simple as that. I'm not sure how well you can even write anything for networking and stuff in COBOL. Where I got my degree, they stopped teaching COBOL like a year or two before I started. Like, so I've not even messed with COBOL. I think I've seen COBOL like twice, and I don't really know anything about it. All right. So now we got to figure out how to make this work. Did I have client post, async client? Oh, cool. Here it is. Here it is. This is our authentication, right? So if I run this, whoop, we gotta start the server, don't we? Poetry run not bit server. We run this. There we go. We're running. And then we come over here. The question then becomes, is this the bit project or is this project? We'll find out in a second. Right there. Exploded. This might be the bit project. So if we switch this around. Yeah, this was for the bit project. So then if we come over here, go back over to, go away. We don't need these empty files. All right, so we got to do register. Register. We need to pass it. What did we need? We need to pass it username and password. Username Jim. Password. Super safe password. And then I run that. We didn't get back the access token. Register, so it's sending back the user ID. User ID. User ID. I like that. User ID. I run it. Here, user ID. What is happening? Oh, 422 of an unprocessable entity. What does that even mean? Gotta do data. And then the login. Does that take a username? Yeah, that takes a username. So we can just log in. Let's do login. We'll get this figured out eventually. And then check a password matches. And this is going to give us back our access token. I like that. Token. Detail not found. So the detail not found just means it didn't find this URL. So we're going to change that to upload. So we've got our token. We're setting the token. And then we need to do files equals. Now we need to import from IO import bytes.io. There we go. And I'm just going to do a really basic bytes.io hello world, right like that. How would I set the file name? Let's go back over here. Multiple files, upload file. Okay, so it's a dictionary. It's not a list, it's a dictionary. Testing.txt. Right like that. All right. Okay. So let's see. I'm trying to think, are we missing anything here? Just double checking. We're sending up the file. We're sending up the file name. So I don't have to send the file name. And part of me thinks the way I did this is wrong. And the reason I say that is because this is a file upload. And FastAPI is weird with that. So we're going to have to mess with that. These two parameters right here. And we'll figure out how they work. All right. So if I run this again, keyword argument, files. Really? Oh, I see. Got a post. All right. Method not allowed. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Upload. Aha! I found the issue. We're skipping steps. Now we're running again. We run that. Body file message. Field required. Type. Value error missing. Oh, okay, I see. I've got to figure out. There's something else I need to figure out. Because this is supposed to be, this right here is supposed to be, well, wrong thing. We're looking at the wrong thing. This right here, this name where it says file is supposed to be this right here. So if we do that and then we run it, internal server error. Model ID, coroutine object has no ID. So we did another goof. Why is that a coroutine? You know why? Because we have to await this because the get function right down here is an async function. So we restart our server and we run it again. File ID 1, it uploaded. User files showed up. We've got 2 of them in here. If I open that up, it says hello world. So there we go. It works. We finally got something functioning. I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to get rid of those 2 equal signs because that's going to bug me. Because every single one is going to get that because we just don't quite have enough bytes. So, all right, but we got that working. Now we have a file uploading. The one thing is it's not uploading. We'll see this in a minute. I'll set up the list files. What did I want to call that? Let me see. Check my thing. List files in folder. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna go ahead and list the files in a folder. And we'll see, like, it's not uploading a file name. It's not giving us a file name. But for the moment, we're good. Right now, we're fine. Okay. All right. So what do we gotta do? We gotta create another route, and this is gonna be a get route. Finally, we're gonna do a get route. We're actually gonna do a get route for a change. Stop. Get /list, and this will take. How does he do parameters? Folder ID. I think something like that. I don't know. Let's figure it out. Let's come over here. Tutorial. Steps, path parameters. Item ID. Yep, like that. So it's just going in there like that. Async def. List files. Folder ID int. And then we're gonna go in here and we're gonna do. Did I have that inside my model? Let's find out. It's real quick. Database, models, folders. I don't have it doing anything like that. I think files. Get files. And this will be folder ID. And this is going to return a list of files. Select star from files where folder ID equals folder ID. And is that correct? Is the field called folder ID? Yes, it is. All right. Then we get fetch all, I think, something like that. We'll find out in a minute, I guess. These are our fields. And we're going to do at class method def create file model. row. We'll just call it that. It's going to return a file, and it's going to do all of this. Right like that. And this is going to return rows, return a list, cls.create file model, and we're going to give it a row for row in rows. Get rid of that empty line. We have to give it a DB. Right like that. All right, now with this, in theory, this should be the easiest one we've had to do. Return files, file.get files, folder ID. We have to depend on the connection. How did we do that? Equals FastAPI.depends DB. Right like that. Should be as simple as that, right? We'll find out in a second. If we restart the server, and then we come over here, and we go back to that Scratch file, we don't want to upload this time. We want to resp equals await client dot get HTTP localhost 8000 list, and we're going to do -1. A little bit weird. We'll probably come up with a better URL for that at some point, but for now that works. And then we need to print resp.content.decode that. Internal server error, of course. Coroutine object is not iterable. Where did we goof that up? Right there. Of course. Restart the server. No files returned. Yay. Did we forget to add it to the database? Did we forget to commit the database? That's probably what we did. That's probably what we did right there. Await db.commit. All right. And then if we restart the server, and this time, we have to come over here. Ta-da! Server error. Object is not iterable. Var's argument must have a dict attribute. What are you talking about? Something got passed into the JSON and isn't something we want to be putting there. But let's get rid of this for the moment. I don't want to just keep uploading files. But model ID files, yeah. This right? Yes, no, maybe. Let's find out, I guess. Got to convert it to something that we can turn into JSON. Exploded. Same problem, probably. Oh yeah. I mean, this makes me feel like it's working. ID file.id Hold up. We're using that. Oh, good gracious. This should be... Go back to where I was. Thank you. File.to.dict. Let's try that. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll explode. It'll explode. Cool. So why is this giving me back something? Create file model. It's creating a file. There shouldn't be anything. I'm confused why this isn't working. Let's just do this for the moment. Let's see if this works. Just narrow it down to figure out what is blowing up. That would make sense. But we got to a different spot. Get rid of this. Run that. Files ID path. File name upload. That's what we gotta figure out how to fix. Gotta fix that. Folder ID, owner ID, uploaded. Probably don't want to include this in our output. Now we gotta figure out why it works as a dictionary, but it doesn't work as a model. Why does the model not work? I know why the model doesn't work. I know why it doesn't work. Because of this DB. The DB is a property on our model, but it's not something that we can convert into JSON, because it's got all the state on it. It's just not something you can convert. So let me see. Do I have import from Pydantic import field? Yeah, it's uppercase. Now I think, can I hide this using this, or do I have to do something crazy? Oh good God. Default factory, alias, title, description, exclude, include. Just trying to see if there's a way to hide it from a dict. All right, so where did that exclude go? No, that's not what we want. Just trying to figure out the best way to do this. And it's taking us out into stubs. I'm not a fan of this. Site packages. Okay, we're back. We're back to normal. Trying to see, where is that dict function defined? Like, I like Pydantic, it's pretty cool, but it's doing a lot of this clever stuff. And it's hard to tell where anything is even located in the code. So let me see if I can't. Pydantic. Usage. Yeah, let's send me that. Validators, model config schema. We can use that. We can do that. Trying to see. Like, is there a way? Does this have any info like that's useful for me? Infinite generators, unions, enums. Like, there's got to be a way to do what we need, right? Maybe not. All right, well, we found a way to do it. We want to exclude DB and path. So here, not here, here, we want to do dot dict. If I hit the button, that would really help. Exclude DB and path. Then we come over here, restart our server. It blew up. Class list. What are you talking about? Why did that not work? Exporting models, dict, arguments include, exclude, by alias. It wants a set? I guess that would make sense for speed and performance. So let's give it a shot. Well, that worked. So now we've got the ID. We've got the file name, which is just upload. Where it was when it was uploaded, the user who uploaded it, and then the folder it's in. It's in the root directory, so it's -1. All right, cool. So that's working. Now we need to figure out how to upload a file name. Upload with a file name. Upload file set name. How to rename uploaded file before saving it to directory? No. There's got to be a header. Maybe it just has the information I need somewhere hiding in here. Data, message hello, files, file, Where is what I'm looking for? How do I set the file name? HTTPX, upload file with file name. Did I just click on the same article? I think I did. Going too fast here. Go back. Please tell me you explain Problem is HTTPX is just too similar to everything else, like anything HTTP. So it's like showing me everything about uploading files, regardless of whether it's HTTPX or not. Interesting. How do we do this? What do we have to do? Maybe we can find something if we jump into post. Right, their garbage doesn't work. Just scrolling through. Data files. Union mapping string. Sequence tuple. File types. So let's jump into here. File content. What is a file content? Aha! We can give it a tuple with an optional string and then the file content. So we get a file name or file bytes. We can do file name, file content type, file name, file content type headers. So we just care about the file name. That's all we care about. So we can do, I think this will be interesting. Let's just experiment with something real quick. Can I do a dictionary? Because when you do items, it'll give back a sequence of tuples. Testing.txt. It might explode. We'll find out in a second. That's already running, so we can just run this. It exploded. Dict object has no attribute read. Login succeeded, but we didn't do the upload because this failed. So it doesn't look like that worked. But if I do this, it uploaded it. Now we have a file ID 1 with the name upload, and we have a file ID 2 with the file name testing.txt. Nice. And the path will be different for this. One thing we probably want to do is actually give back the path. Never mind, we do want to give the path. We do want to give the path, so this way they can download it. We'll eventually change that somehow. It's going to end up being pretty similar. Well, you know what? Never mind. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Because we're going to use the get file endpoint to do that. But there we go. So we've got everything working. We can now upload files with a name. And it works pretty well. Like, you can get duplicate file names, like file name testing.txt, file name txt, and it's in the exact same folder ID. So that's the price of doing something simple. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. We got that working pretty quickly. Little bit of pain getting Pydantic to work the way we want. Trying to keep track, understand, like working with JSON conversion in Python is a little bit messy. I wish they had made it a little bit simpler, a little bit easier, like have some kind of serialization system built into the language, like some spec, a PEP for it. But there's not. And so there's no easy way to do conversions. Pydantic tried, but because we're putting the database on the model, it exploded. Like if we got rid of the database on the model, it would have just worked. But it wasn't. So, right. I did notice, maybe we try this. Like, I'm just curious if we can make this work. Let me go back over here. No, don't do that. Go here. And then if I do Pydantic, I've got field. And then exclude. I don't feel like that's right. Because if I come in here and I look at exclude, it should be a set. I don't know what the set should be. Go away. What is that? Interesting. It's a little bit odd. But if that's DB, let's do that. Let's find out if that works. I'm curious if that'll work. Because if that'll work, let's run the server again. Let us get rid of the upload. Don't want to be uploading anything right now. We just need to log in and then list. We have a server error. Is not iterable. Interesting. So I don't think it excluded it. Interesting. Odd. Just like, why is this not behaving the way I want? Yeah. So you gotta do it the other way. Right, like that. That works. That works. It's just not the cleanest. Like I'd much rather be able to say right on the model, don't export this. Like, don't include this in the dump to addict. I suppose we could come over here and one thing we could do, maybe we can do. Let's see if we can't. Where am I looking here? What am I looking for? I want to come back here. I want to go right here. I want to go to base model. That's where I want to be. And then I can do def dict args. And then I can do d equals super dot dict args quarks. There we go. And then how do I do that? For self dot, where does he expose? I'm just trying to see. What is schema JSON? Wait, what is this? Real signature unknown. Oh. Like, this is what, like, he does clever things and it makes stuff work really well, but it makes it really hard to understand what is happening. Okay, so that's just outputting this information. That's not what we want. Pydantic get list of fields. Interesting. All right. Okay. Cool. So what we can do, we can get the schema. Type self. What is alias? False. We don't want the alias. For field in dot don't. Will this show me anything useful? It stops again. This is annoying. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make this easier test. We're gonna experiment with this. I want to get this nice and neat. And this is going to be my test model, and we're gonna go from base model, all right, and then we're gonna have a field. And it's gonna be testing. It's gonna be an int. It's gonna be field. Pydantic dot field. Don't export. We'll do it this way. Export equals false. And so this is going to use, I don't know if you saw, when I was looking at this, like right here, you scroll down, there's this little extra bit right here. So it takes any keyword args and it will actually store them on the, inside the field info. On the right there. Then like it turns that field info. Well, actually, that's actually right there. Field info is like, see right here. It's getting the getting the quargs, and it's popping them out, and then it keeps the anything that's left over as the extra. So you can actually get that later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and go through this and get all of the fields and then grab that extra data, and then I will tell this to exclude anything that doesn't have export, that has export set to false. X equals model testing equals x.dict, that, and this file, and I just want to see how it's storing the fields on here if I can. Yeah, we're checking the schema, copy keys, items pop. So this appears to be a dictionary. So let's just print it out. Let's see what it looks like. What is it a dictionary of? Title model, type object, properties. Okay. So like you see the title model, that's the name of my class. Type object, that's what this is. Properties, testing is what I put on here. Title testing. It's generating a bunch of stuff. And then you see there's that extra thing I set. Like if I were to rename this export and like do something crazy like that, and then I was to run this, it shows up there. And the value is set. The type is integer, required, testing. All right, cool. So now we've got the ability to access this information. So we can do properties, schema, properties, get like this. Come on. If I could hit the right buttons, that would help us out a lot. And then we do an empty dictionary if it doesn't exist. And then we do for name and data. In dot items, like this. If field get export not exclude equals, it's going to be a set. Whoop, I like that. Exclude dot add name. And then we're going to bring this down here for that line. And we're going to do how do we do this? Wargs exclude equals wargs.get exclude empty dict, and then we're going to union that with our that's not a dict. Well, the set for like this. Then we union that with our exclude, and then we return that. Boom. So then if we were to add another field, foo string foo equals bar, nothing shows up. Oh, well, you know why? Because we didn't print anything out. Duh. We get an empty dict. All right, what did we do wrong? Print name and field get export not set false and false. Why is it false and false? Because I just duplicated the line, and there we go. So now we can make it show up in that dict or hide it by setting the export to false, and that will function on all of our existing models. So like, pedantic can be a little bit annoying to work with, but like it's super powerful, and there's a lot of stuff there you can use to create your own behavior. So it's very cool, and it's very handy. So let's go ahead and come back over here, and let's set this field export equals false. That's not what I want. That's not the wrong field. We want to do it here. Export equals false. All right. And then we come back over to upload, not upload. We want to go here. We can get rid of this, and then we can run it. It ran the wrong file. Is that the one I wanted to run? I wanted to run this one. We got a server error. Word equals true file. DB. Value not declarable. JSON schema. What does that mean? So something exploded. I'm not sure why. For name in type, that's the schema false, the get properties, the items. Value not declarable with JSON schema. What is happening? Why is this happening? It should have worked, right? Like it's a different error message than normal. Like the issue is where I'm requesting the schema right here. This is the line I just wrote. This is the code I just wrote right there. It's in our database models dunder and init file. And when I call the schema, you can see right here, base model.schema. It's running through the code. It's going through. It's trying to find the schema. And then it's doing field.singleton schema. And it's exploding. And it's exploding value error. Value not declarable with JSON schema. Field, name equals DB, type equals connection required. Why are you doing that? Why are you blowing up? Is there another way to get the schema? So I guess we'll go back over here. Because it seems like looking at this. Pydantic is attempting to create a JSON schema for the model. And because the DB isn't JSON serializable. Hey Doodle, how's it going? Because the DB isn't JSON serializable, it's freaking out. So I've got to find a different way. Models. Does he explain how I can get all the fields? Parse raw, parse file. Yeah, as a JSON schema. This might be more of what we're interested in. Let's come back over here. Where'd that init file go? Can I bring all that back? Yes, I can. This should... Come on. Do the thing I need you to do. Self.fields. .items. We want to run this file. Print dir field. I'm just literally poking at this stuff because what we're doing here is what's happening here when with this model right here is Pydantic is going through each of these properties, okay? And it's creating a bunch of information in the background. And I'm trying to extract this little export variable that I'm setting on this field from the background. And where Pydantic stores all the information it generates about these is inside this fields property, this dunder fields property. So what I'm doing now is I'm loading up that dunder fields property. And I'm trying to understand what is stored in there, trying to find this export extra variable I set. And then all I'm going to do is I'm checking to see if that export is set to false. If it's set to false, I'm going to add it to this exclude set, okay? And then I'm going to set that exclude set, like literally, it's just, when I call dict, it's essentially passing that exclude set right like that. Well, as exclude equals exclude, right like that. It's setting it like that. But I'm just doing it inside the quargs. So this way I can capture any other excludes we set. And I'm just adding excludes. And that's basically what's happening. Does that make sense? But the tricky part is, I'm not patient enough to dig through Google and the docs. So I'm just jumping into the code and I'm poking it and like dumping out information, like all the property names and all the function names, to figure out what is available to me. So we're just scrolling through this. We're looking at what we got. What properties are there? Validators, types. Model config seems promising. So like I'm just looking at what information has it stored for this testing this testing property. That's what this is right here. This is all the variable names that belong to the field it assigned to this. All right, so where did I say? What did I say was good? Model config. Let's just print that out. Print field dot model config. It's a class. So what kind of class is that? So now we're going to use dir to figure out what variables it has that I can access. Extras. That's what we're looking for right there. All right, so let's just extras. Hopefully we'll get lucky and this is just like a dictionary. That's interesting. Why did that blow up? Extra. It's not extras, it's extra. Dot extra. Extra dot ignore. Don't know what that means. So let's just keep going. Let's just keep poking around, seeing what we can find. Something has to have the information I need. What is fields? That's nothing. Let's get rid of this for the moment. Why is this not giving me the information I need? Extra ignore. Not getting the information I need out of this. Pretty reduce. Field info. Maybe it's the field info. Aha. But what is it? Because it's clearly not like a dictionary. Where is the information? Like, it was in there. Like, we can see extra. All right, so extra equals export false. So I bet you if we do extra export get false and not set. There we go. Found it. Found the information we need right there. So if not, and we're going to default that to true. No, that wasn't what I wanted to do. There we go. And then we run that. And now we only get the one that has export not set. If it has export set to false, it doesn't show up. So this testing doesn't show up when we do dict. When we call dict, it doesn't show testing. It gets excluded. It just shows foo. And then like I could make it show up by setting this to true, and now testing shows up. So that's what we've done. Now, let's get rid of this. And let's try running scratch 2, scratch 3 is the one we want. Internal server error. Oh, I gotta rerun the server. Let me come back over here, run it, boom. It worked. So now it excludes the database when we convert to a dict. So I've basically overridden how the dict function works. When we come over here, when we call dict, it's now calling my dict function because all of my models inherit from base model. So I've changed the behavior of the dict function. So now I can exclude anything that won't work in a JSON schema. I'm very confused why there's like, there must be a way to do it because like he's got the JSON schema and like it explodes if I try to run it with the DB on it. So, I'm a little confused, but we found a way to make it work. And I have a funny feeling that there's an easier way to do this. And I just don't know what it is yet. But that works. We made that work. We got that functioning. And now all we have to do is call dict. I'm looking at the wrong file, and that's why there we go. Now I'm curious if I got rid of this now, I can go here and run that. And that gives me a server error. So it's giving me a none type. Exclude is set to a none type. So if we go over, I just want to see. If I go back to that init file, and here we do exclude if wargs exclude else, we're going to do a set, and then we're going to do, this is messy. Oh, I got to restart the server. Ta-da! There we go. All right, cool. Very nice. So now we've made it work. We don't even have to call dict. We can just pass the file. That means I should be able to get rid of all of that. Come over here and restart it. And now things behave the way I feel like they should. I can just take a list of the models and give it as JSON data, and it just magically works. And that's why I'm a little confused that I don't see a way in the docs to just exclude a field from what's getting returned. So yeah, but we found a way. We made it work. And it'll work on every single one of our models. So we can go to any of our models and like I can literally look at the code and see. I'm not sure what's going on there. Set int string. Like I'm just like looking at this again to see if like there's anything that looks like a way to do what I just created a thing to do. And I don't see anything here to do that. There might be a way, like he has this metadata, like you look at like right here, I've got this config. Maybe there's a way on here to set a list of excluded fields. Pydantic exclude fields from dict. Yeah, there's a way right here, right here. So like if we were to take this, I think if we, let's just try this out. Let's experiment and see if we can't figure out how this is intended to work. I deleted one too many lines. Shift. All right, and so that's gonna be fields. And then we're gonna do, we want to exclude DB. Or what exactly? What does some flag mean? I think this might be a duplicate, right? So I think when it's done, looks something like he says there might be a duplicate of 660. So let's look at 660. Way. Like it seems like there's a way. Interesting. So what's happening? Like it has an exclude on the field itself. And the way it works is it excludes something else, another field, which is a little weird. I can see why you would have that. All right, whatever. It looks like the way I did it seems to be probably about the right way to do it, which is a little weird. All right. Cool. We got that working. And like I said, it'll work on all of our models. Okay, so now we're able to upload and we're able to wrong file. We're able to upload, we're able to list, and we're able to do it in any folder. We don't currently have a way to create a folder. So we should create a function or an endpoint creating a folder. Create folder, and we need to give it name. That'll be a string. And parent. And that will be an int, because that'll be an ID of a folder. Parent ID. So we need the session. All right. We don't need to do that. We just need to return the folder ID. And then we're going to do, we got to import from files, from folders, import folder. Back where I was. Nope, that's not what I'm going to be. Go back to the line I was at. Okay, we need to rename that. Create folder. And then we're going to do folder equals await folder dot create name. What's the next parameter? Parent ID. And is there anything else we got to set? Owner ID. So we got to do session user ID, and then we got to give it a connection. Right, like that. Now, I think this isn't returning. Yeah, this isn't returning what we need. So it's got to return a folder. Right, like this. I'm also thinking here, and it's occurring to me, that the way we're listing a folder doesn't list the folders in the folder. So we're going to have to figure out a way to do that. So we'll probably, I know what we'll do. It'll be two things. It'll be just a second. We'll get that. One thing we want to do is we want to come over here from Pydantic, import field, and then we're going to do field export equals false, right, like that. All right, and then we're coming down here, and we've got to do return await CLS dot get cursor equals, and then we do cursor dot last row ID, and we got to keep that DB. So now we're getting the last row ID that we inserted, because we just created a folder. We inserted a folder, and it generates a new row ID. So we're getting the last row ID, and then we're getting that folder object. All right. This should function. And then we have the create folder. It's going to be a post, even though we're not posting any, well, we are posting information. We're posting JSON data. Folder, and then we return the folder ID. And then if we come back over here to scratch 3, I'm going to just hide that for the moment, and this will get duplicated. Don't want to lose that code just yet. Create folder. Yeah, there we go. Authorization token. There we go. We're not uploading anything. We're gonna do JSON equals. And what were the fields we needed? We needed name and parent ID. Name, test folder. And then parent ID, we're just going to put it in the root folder. -1. And then it's going to give us back the response with an ID. We got to restart the server. Missing information here. Query name. Field required. Parent ID. Value missing. Post create folder. Why? Didn't misspell it. It's right there. What am I missing? What am I not understanding here? It's saying both of them are missing. Oh, goodness. Why? Why would it be expecting form data? Like, I'm so confused by this. We don't want path parameters. What are we missing? Why is this not functioning? First steps. That's just is there anything in here we overlooked? It's a -1, so it should be. Yeah. But like, it's not even that. Like, you see right here, details, location, query, name. And then you scroll, you come over here. Like, this is 1. And then there's the next one, which is the parent ID. So it's saying name isn't even showing up. It's not getting either of them. So, just for the giggles, let's see. Yeah, that doesn't work. If I send it as data, it doesn't work. Content type, application, JSON. That didn't fix it. Like, what is going on here? Why? What are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? If we go to localhost /docs. All right. Go away. PI/v1. We're here. Try it out. Super safe password. Execute. There's my token. We can authorize Jim super safe password. So that should now be authorized. So we can test it out with this. Try it out. Execute. Oh, -1. So that worked. That got us back that information. So let's try create folder. Name. Oh, try it out. Test folder. -1. Execute. That worked. But how did... It's going into the query string? It's putting it on the query string. I guess that's fine. It didn't know it would do that. So, how do you get stuff from the JSON body? I don't know. It wasn't how I expected it to do it. It's perfectly fine that way. But now we know how to make it work. We can get rid of that. We can do that. We can do that. And boom, we got our folder ID back. The one thing we're not doing, like if you look over here, folder ID 1, okay? This is logged in as Jim with password super safe password. And over here, we're logged in as Jim with password super safe password. And we're also getting folder ID 1. We're forgetting to commit. We're very good. We have commitment issues. We have commitment issues, that's for sure. So let's commit. Restart our server. And then run that again. Run that again. And now it's going up. Now we're able to create folders. But if we come back over here, let's... And then let's get rid of that. So we're not creating a million folders. Let's get the list to show our... Let us do this. From pretty print, import pretty print. And we need to import JSON. Actually, no. Does this have a function for that? Boom. So now we can see things a little easier. We can see files, file name, all the information about it, okay? Where it's located on the server. We're going to have to exclude that from the export, but we'll get that in a little bit. Next, we need to just get files to show up through here. And we're going to have to do something similar. Over here to files. Get files, okay. All right, and then we're going to go over to folders. We'll add this in here, right like that. Need this as well. Create file model. We're going to return a folder. Create. I don't know why I have file in that name. We're just going to call it model. Create model here. ID, name, parent ID, and owner ID. Right like that. We're going to return folder. Right like that. We're going to return a list of folders. So we're going to give it a folder ID, which is going to be the parent ID. We'll just call it that for simplicity here. That's what we're calling it on the folder itself. And then we're going to do from folders, where parent ID is parent ID. Fetch all. Create model from row. Then we come back over here to the API. And then we're going to do list folder ID. And we're going to have folders. Folder.get folders. Folder ID. Restart the server. Booyah. So now, when we call the list endpoint, we get the files, and then we get all the folders inside that folder. And we have a lot of stuff with the same name. But that's working. Pretty cool. We're getting there. We're making progress, slowly but surely. All right. Now, we need to be able to get a file. There's two things we got to do with this. We want to be able to... We want to be able to get a file and download it. And then we want to be able to get a file and just get its info, right? Maybe? No? Is there ever a reason why we need to just get the info? I don't think there's ever a reason why we need to just get the info. So, we're just going to do this. We're going to do this. It's a get list folder ID. We're going to download file ID. And then we're going to pass file ID, connection. Yes, we need that because we need that so we can grab the path. All right, so file equals await file.get file ID. Connection, there we go. And then FastAPI.file. How do we... Responses.file response. There we go. And then we need pathlib. From pathlib, import path. And then we do with path, path file.path as f. How does this work? It takes the path. Oh, never mind. We don't even need pathlib. We don't even need pathlib. So then we do file.path. Let's get rid of that extra import we just created. And we do file name equals file.filename. All right, I think we're pretty close to having this working here. Restart this. Come back over here, or here. .download. Let's just grab one of these file IDs. ID 1. We'll just grab 1. All connection attempts failed. Yay! Let's restart the server. Boom! File download worked. Where is that coming from? Oh, that's our token. Okay. Make it apparent what's going on here. There we go. We're now able to download the file. Let me see. Print dot response dot headers. And then content text plain, content attachment, content length 11, e tag. Did it give the file name? There it is. File name, attachment, file name, upload. So then if we did like file 3, attachment file testing.txt. So there, it gives the correct file name, which is important because if you were to download it, it's like, let's go over to here again. Let's make sure we're authorized, log out, and then Jim, super safe password, authorize, close, and then I don't think I have the information I need right here. Gotta reload this. There we go. Go away. Where is download? Oh, there it is. Try it out. Let's download file 3. Execute. And it responds. Response file, download file. Doesn't show me the content. What does this do? And there we go. You see how it named the download testing.txt? That's that header that we set there. And so that's nice and fancy. Now, one thing we have to keep in mind here. This isn't doing a user check. So I can literally put any file ID in here and it'll download it. So we need to add a user check. All right, API if file dot owner ID is not equal to, we need to get our session. FastAPI dot depends get session, right like that, is not equal to session user ID raise exception file doesn't exist. So as far as they're concerned, no file exists. We'll also have to test it with, let's see this. If I request 300, what happens? Internal server error, that's what happens. So we want to catch that. None type object is not iterable. So we need to add a check in here where we're getting it. And if not row, return none. This will become none. All right. And then here, if not file or file to owner is not equal, then we can reload this. And then we can run that again. Not authenticated. Why are we not authenticated? That doesn't make any sense. I've got a token. Did I remove? I did. I accidentally did. I need this right here. Run that again. Server error. File does not exist. All right. How do we return an exception from FastAPI? Oh, I think, wait, don't we already have something like that over here, maybe? No. Maybe in the auth file. That's probably where it is. Nope, it's not in the auth file. I thought this was the one where we did that. Register. Come down here. Oh, there we go. That's what we want. We're going to do 404. File does not exist. And then we restart the server. File does not exist. We got a 404 right over here. Very cool. Now, if we were to go ahead, let's go ahead and create a new user. Over here. This will probably be the easiest way. Close, register. Try it out. Bob. Actually, he might already be in there. So we're going to go with Tom. A password. Execute. That should have worked. There we go. We got user ID 5. And then we're going to go ahead and authorize Tom a password. I feel like I spelled that wrong. Authorize. So there we go. We're authenticated as Tom. And then we're going to try uploading a file. Upload. Try it out. Go away. The file name. A test file.txt. Folder ID -1. Got to choose a file. I'm in here. There we go. So we're just going to grab that hello world file that we just downloaded. We're going to execute. File ID 4. Okay. So now I'm going to come over here again. Not there. Here. And we just uploaded that as Tom. This is authenticated as Jim. And we're going to tell it to download that file it just uploaded. And it tells me file does not exist. And then if I come over here, back over here. And then we go download file and we tell it to get 4. That'll fail. That'll fail. Not authenticated. Why does it say not authenticated? Authorized. We're authorized. I'm not sure why that said not authorized. Oh. Reload this. There we go. Are we authenticated? Authorize. A password. And then we authorize. Close that. Please just never. And then we're going to try downloading a file. We're going to try downloading 3. I'm going to try downloading 3 to see if we can see that it doesn't work. Execute. And then failed. File doesn't exist. 404 error. And then we're going to try doing 4. Execute. And that one lets us download the file. And it says a test file.txt. That'll be the hello world file. So we've got it working. We've got it working. We can create folders. We can put files into folders. We can download files. Now, one thing I'm just thinking about, we need to find a better way to authenticate. And the reason for that is because I could upload a file to someone else's folder. I can create a folder on someone else's account. I just can't download a file that I didn't create. So how do we do that in the best way possible? I think check password message, no. Sessions, get session. That's just grabbing. Is there? I'm trying to think if there's a way that we can just simply do this, but I don't think there is. Well, actually, you know what? We need to pass. This is what we need to do. We need to grab the session here. Session equals FastAPI.depends get session, right, like that. And then whenever we make a request for like getting files or getting folders or uploading files or uploading anything, we need to make sure we're giving it a user ID. This way everything's authenticated. And this way when we do a query on the database, we filter, we add a where clause that checks the user ID. So it'll only return something if the user ID matches the user ID of the session. All right, session user ID. Same here. That. And then we're going to do the same with like list files. Session user ID. File response. All right, cool. So then we don't even need this. We don't even need this right here because it's not going to find a file if the session ID doesn't match, if the user ID doesn't match. Login. So list files. Whoops, we gotta fix that. Download file. There we go. List file, create folder. And we're giving that a user ID. So they actually can't create it on anybody else. It's gonna get created on them. The parent ID just may not exist for them. And I'm not gonna worry about that. Like that can't hurt anybody. And then the folder upload, the file upload doesn't matter. Like, they can give it a folder that doesn't exist. They just won't be able to find the file by using the list methods because they have to know the folder ID. So you could upload stuff to folders that don't exist, and you can even list folders that don't exist. The only reason we have folders is to make things a little bit simpler for organization. So when we have our UI, you'll be able to see the list of folders, and you'll be able to click on a folder and it'll list out everything in there, and you'll be able to see the folders in there. And so that's just an organizational thing. A little bit funky, but it works. All right, let's get files. User ID int select star where folder ID equals, and what is owner ID? Owner ID equals there we go. So now that query for the get files is secured. Right up here, we're going to do the same thing. Have a great night, Kintech. All right, so we've got that done. Save to disk. Create. All right, so that's got you the owner ID. Close that. So that's create. Go jump into create folder. So we're going to do get, and we're going to do same thing here. Int. And this also is using owner ID. So we give that user ID. And then we do down here, we got to do the same thing. Anywhere where we're getting stuff, we got to add the user ID just for security purposes. And then if we restart the server, then I come over here and run this. Fails for getting the file. But like, what if we were to list, if we were to go over to, let's list out our folders. Did I have that query still here? I've got upload. Let's list -1. So we're going to list that out. Here's Jim. There we go. Now we can read it. So I'm going to grab this folder ID right here. And we're actually going to need to upload something to that. So let's do that real quick. File. There we go. That works. And we're going to upload that to, oh, goodness gracious. What does the API look like for that? Where's the upload folder? There it is. File name, folder ID. Folder ID equals 1. And then if I run that, it explodes. Why did it explode? Aha, I see why. I see why. We were missing something in make sure. Because here, where'd it go? There it is, right there. We have to give it the owner ID. And I think the same thing is wrong in the files file. when we create, we're doing the get, but we have to give it the owner ID now. And if we restart the server, and then we run this, now it worked. And then file ID 6, and we're inside of, we go back over here to Scratch. We just put a file inside of folder ID 1. So if I come down here and list 1, and I reload, I see I've got 2 files because we goofed up on the 1. Yeah, all right, cool. Like I was just like noticing this unique ID has changed so little. This one's YOQU, this one's YOQV, and then there's a little bit change there, and then like all of this is the same. So they changed so little. All right. Okay, so we've got 2 files inside of that folder, folder 1. But then if I come over here, let's reload it. Let's authorize. We're going to authorize this Tom a password. Authorize. Close that. And then let's list folder ID. Folder ID 1. Execute. Files folder 0. There's nothing in there. I'm gonna want to. If the folder doesn't exist, we should probably give a 404. Just so we can not be listing out. Well, it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter. Don't think it matters. We'll just leave it for now. I think that's fine. If you request one that doesn't exist, you just get a bunch of empty stuff. But now, you're not going to get someone else's stuff, because it only looks for your stuff. So I think we're pretty much set on that, aren't we? Is there anything I'm forgetting? Oh, well, let's implement delete. Let's implement delete. That's the last thing that I have listed here. And that's super simple to do. We've already got everything in place. The hardest part is doing it, which is the hardest part of everything. All right. Okay. So what we're going to do, where did that download function go? It's going to be very similar to that. We're just going to do this. Boom. And this one is going to be delete. Right like that. File ID. We've got our session. We've got our connection. Then we query for the file. If there's not a file, we 404. And then we're going to success, status, success, await, file dot delete, file ID, session, user ID, and then we need the connection. Like that. And we don't have that defined yet. So we need to go ahead and define that. Delete. And then SQLite, delete row. Just make sure we get this query right. Want to do delete from files. Where file ID equals it's ID, not file ID, equals question mark, and where was that? Owner ID equals that. And then we do file ID, int owner ID, don't need folder ID. Okay. Now, let's come back over here to Scratch. We're just going to list that out. Right like that. Get rid of that. Let's just list it out after. We're going to list it out before. We're going to list it out after. And then I'm going to do delete. Trying to decide. Delete file. I think we're going to do this. We're going to do this right here. File / download. We're going to make this consistent. File / yeah, we're not going to do that. We're just going to do that. And we don't even need the download bit. We're going to do that right like that. Now, if you go to file with a get request, you get it'll download. If you go to file with the delete request, it will delete it. All right, so for message failed, file get, user ID, okay. We don't even need to get the file. We're just going to do that. Because it's going to do the check right here. Like we're just going for the simplest thing possible. We're not going crazy here. File. And we want to delete file ID 5. So we should see, when it first runs this list, we should see testing.txt ID 5 and testing.txt ID 6. Then it should try to delete it. It should show a success message. And then it'll try to list it out again. And this time it should only show us testing.txt ID 6. Let's restart the server. All right, and let's see if it worked. All right, so we have ID 5, we have ID 6, and then we have ID 6 only. And there's a success from the delete. So that is working. And because we have all the queries being done with the user ID in there, it's nice and secure, nice and safe. Now, trying to decide, I don't think we're going to worry about deleting folders for now. Yeah, I think we're good. That works for me. Lots of stuff done there. Did I have this open in here? This is so much easier. File storage web app right there. So let's get this all committed on here. Hide the DB from exports. Folders. Staged lines. Just getting all of this committed. Anybody have any questions? I don't know who all's here right now. If you've got any questions, I'm just wrapping up here. We just got it all done. It took about 3 hours, but we got it working. That's about how long my streams generally are on Sundays. So I think we did pretty good today. All right, and I'm just going to amend that previous commit, because these are just lines doing more of that. And that's another line for that. So let's stage that. Let me make sure I got that line in here. I did. So let's amend again. There we go. And that just changed this one commit, hide the DB from exports, and I added all those other changes. to that commit. You can do that from the command line. It's just way easier to do it from a GUI, in my opinion. So if you can find a good GUI and you're okay with using it, I would suggest doing it. All right. So let me see. I'm just trying to figure out what else I need to add here. This is right here. Stage lines. Return the newly created folder. This. Only return folders the user owns. Get all folders in a folder. And probably should have been doing this as we went. Oh well. Lines, and that's going to be another amend. That should have gone with that other commit. There we go. Then we're going to come over here. This one's got a lot more going on. Understandably. All right, stage lines. Get all files in a folder. This one right here. Get newly created file. Need that. Stage lines. Stage lines. Just getting the file upload stuff committed here. Need both of these for that. All right. Add model code for uploading a file. And then only return files the user owns. And then delete a file. Delete a file from the database. And then over here, we've got all of our endpoints. What required optional? I'm gonna add this line. Add endpoint to upload a file. Folder. Add endpoint to create a folder. And then we're going to just add this one right here. That is to list a folder. Add endpoint to list a folder's contents. Oh, what was that? I couldn't figure out what that was. That's a download file. Add endpoint to download a file. And then add endpoint to delete a file. There we go. Boom. So all the code is up on the repo. It's on the GitHub. On my, if I go to GitHub, you go to GitHub, you find my profile. This should be in the description down below, I believe. I'll double check. But I've got my Zech Codes YouTube organization, and on there I've got the file storage web app. So all the code we just wrote is on there. If you want to check it out, see what we've done, see what we've got. I've got the instructions for running it right there. And it's pretty simple to just play around with it. You just go to localhost 8000, and then it's going to be API/v1/docs, and you get this fancy little interface. Courtesy of FastAPI. Makes it super easy to do everything on here. You can create a user by going to the register route, and then to log in, you just go to authorize and use the same password and username you gave to register. And it'll authorize all requests you make through here. Pretty handy, pretty fancy. And it's simple enough. For anybody who's new here, be sure to join the beginner.code's Discord server. We're almost to 7,500 members. It's still got that small community feel, but everybody's questions get answered for the most part. Like, if you ask a good question and you explain it well, and you're friendly and you're nice, you're most likely going to get an answer to your question. Sometimes we have difficulty with the questions. Sometimes nobody really knows the answer. Sometimes the question isn't asked very well, so it's hard to tell what the answer is. But we do our best. We try our best. So yeah, if you're not there, join us. We have a lot of fun. We have a good time. We do weekday challenges. See who can write the shortest Python code. Or you could do it in JavaScript or Dart. But the shortest answers generally are in Python. Not having to have curly braces and semicolons makes things a lot shorter. So yeah. But yeah, I'll be back on here Wednesday. We'll be working on the bit code sharing server. We're working on that. We're working on getting a UI set up for that. Hopefully we'll get that working very soon. Get MVP up and running soon. I've got another thing going. Hopefully I'll have it ready by Sunday. By next Sunday. That's my plan. That's my hope. I want to have it done. Until it's ready, it's top secret. But it'll be fun. I was working on that all morning. It should be working and up and running, hopefully on time. If not, it'll be the next week. We're almost done with it. But yeah, so I hope you all have a great week. I know I had fun today. I hope you enjoyed the stream, that you learned something. We got a little bit in the weeds with Pydantic, but I think it was an interesting exploration of how Pydantic works and like how you can screw around with code to try to understand what it's doing. You can poke it and prod it and try and get an understanding of what it's doing. Yeah, I think it was a good stream. We made a lot of progress. We got all the API endpoints working. Next week, or actually next week, we have a holiday in the US. So I don't believe I'll be streaming next Sunday. But the first Sunday of June, I don't see any reason why I won't be on. And we'll be messing around with building, either we'll build a CLI. I think we'll probably build a CLI. But at some point, we'll be building a web front end for this. So we'll be getting into some fun stuff. We'll be getting into doing some really interesting things. Maybe we might mess with Vue.js, maybe. Maybe we'll do it in Vanilla.js. I'm not sure yet. I haven't come up to a conclusion on that yet. But the CLI will be built using Typer. It's by the same guy who built FastAPI. So it's built on Pydantic. And it should be an interesting experience. We'll have fun with it. It'll be interesting. I think we'll work on the CLI first. Get that working. Get an understanding of how that functions. But yeah, y'all have a great week. And I'll see you Wednesday, or the Wednesday after that, or the Sunday after that Wednesday. All right, y'all have a great week.